Yo, what's happening, man? Before I salute this video, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. Leave a thumbs up in the comment for your boy. You know what time it is? Nocturnal thoughts. For all my insomniacs, all my nocturnals out there, this is going to be a quick video. Um, it's Manny Pacquiao, pound for pound. I was watching Mr. Lewis TV, and I'm going to go ahead and piggyback off of his video just a little bit because it inspired me. It motivated me to think uh, all not all night, but just a couple hours out tonight. I was thinking about that question: why isn't Manny Pacquiao respected as pound for pound when you look at um, Canelo and Lomachenko, Terrence Bud Crawford, and Errol Spence? And I got to thinking about that, and he made some good points. Some points that I agree with, and a few points that I did not agree with. But ultimately, when I think about it, Manny Pacquiao definitely should be considered in the conversation for pound. If you look at his resume, when you look at everybody that he has fought, um, when you look at how much draw he has for pay-per-view, just for example, if if you look at what Errol Spence Jr. and Mikey Garcia just did for pay-per-view, do you think that's going to have bigger numbers than what Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman is about to do? If you look at Terrence Bud Crawford versus Amir Khan, do you think they're going to come close to what Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman is going to do? Now imagine Errol Spence fighting Manny Pacquiao, or imagine if Terrence Bud Crawford was fighting Manny Pacquiao, and look at the comparison and what the numbers would reflect. Manny Pacquiao, 40, 41 years old, still a big draw to pay-per-view. Still brings great performances to the ring. Looked great against Adrian Broner. Showing age, slowing down, your reflexes slow down, your defense, everything about it. And you 40 years old. There are going to be some things that's going to start to deteriorate. But still a phenomenal fighter, a phenomenal fighter, and has a good chance at beating Keith Thurman. So imagine if Manny Pacquiao was in his prime fighting Keith Thurman. It probably wouldn't even be close, right? Now, this is just my hypothetical. If Manny Pacquiao was to fight Terrence Bud Crawford, hypothetically, I believe that Terrence Bud Crawford would um, win that fight. But I do think it would be a close fight that would maybe lead to a late stoppage. Now, I'm going to lose a few of you guys here, maybe 50% I'm going to lose right here with this statement. But this is just my opinion and it is hypothetical. But if Manny Pacquiao was to fight Errol Spence, I believe that Errol Spence would stop Manny Pacquiao within 6 to 7 rounds. Now, I know, like I said, 50% of you guys are going to disagree, and that's cool. I know 10% is going to disagree with logic. The other 40% is just going to disagree for the sake of disagreeing. Now, this is what I think. I think that today's boxing fans, the younger boxing fans, they don't take the time to look back and pay homage to the older generation of boxing. And I don't think that they're looking at Pacquiao's entire resume. I think it's similar to a, a few guys I have had conversations with about hip hop, where you get these young guys comparing um, Tekashi 6ix9ine and Kodak Black to Tupac, which leaves me scratching my head for the logic behind that. Because, and not to go too deep into this conversation, but you know, my generation, we just were blessed to be able to see the beginning of hip hop all the way through the Tupac era and now into the new generation. So we seen like Rakim, and we seen Grandmaster Flash, and we seen Houdini, and then we saw and heard Tupac come out and pay homage to the old school, show them respect, and build off of that. You didn't get too many. You didn't get Tupac coming out hating on, you know, the older generation, or not even considering the older generation, should I say. And it reminds me of like a boxing fan that's caught up, caught up in the hype of a Errol Spence or a Terrence Bud Crawford or a Lomachenko, and totally looking over a legend in the game like a Manny Pacquiao, who is still active and still is a threat in the ring and still is bringing in big money. And I feel like the only person that's really comparable to Manny Pacquiao is a Canelo Alvarez. That's active right now. That's active. It's Canelo Alvarez. I feel like Canelo Alvarez is actually sort of a compromise, and he's actually sort of a bridge from the old school, and he's bridging over to the new school, because Alvarez is still pretty young, but he started off so young in the game that he fought um, Mayweather. You see what I'm saying? So it would be some guys that remember, um, not golden era, but it's the older guys that's looking at Canelo Alvarez and seeing him develop. And then you got the younger guys that's just coming into boxing that's watching Canelo right now at the top. So I feel like Canelo Alvarez is a little bit more of a compromise and a bridging to where I can understand how most people can put him on the top of the pound for pound list. Um, but if you really take a close look at Manny Pacquiao, you will see that his resume, like I said, is a lot more impressive. Now, of course, we know they both lost to Mayweather. And that's one question I do have. If Mayweather was to come back out of retirement, hypothetically, let me ask y'all this. If Mayweather was to come back from retirement, since he beat Canelo and he beat Manny Pacquiao, would he just automatically be put in the pound for pound best listed? Because, would he be considered the pound for pound? Now, check this out. What I wanted to say about um, Manny Pacquiao, as far as they both lost to Mayweather. Canelo has one loss and one draw on his fighting resume. Now, Manny Pacquiao has a few more losses, but when you think about it, some of his losses you have to you have to look at them from a perspective. For example, when he lost his fight, when he got knocked out by Manuel Marquez, I believe they fought 3 times. Um, the first 2 fights were a bit controversial, but the third fight when he got knocked out, let's be honest, Manuel Marquez was on the sauce, was taking some vitamins, and he had fought Manny Pacquiao to the point where he was able to time him. He's seen once you fought someone 2 times, you begin to know that fighter almost like a muscle memory where you know exactly what they're going to do. So you can time that punch. And like I said, we all know Manuel Marquez is on that special sauce for that fight. So I kind of don't give him 100% credit for that fight, for that knockout. So I can't totally look at Manny Pacquiao and look at that loss without looking at the fact that they fought numerous times and what I mentioned already. When you look at the Timothy Bradley fight, the first fight was a complete robbery. So you can't count that. You cannot count that as a loss when he won that fight. That was bad. Uh, that was boxing politics, and that was bad judges just all the way around. Now, also, his other loss to Jeff Horn, a lot of people considered that to be a highway robbery. Now, me myself personally, I don't look at it as a robbery. Um, Manny Pacquiao definitely he didn't do what he needed to do to win that fight. Technically, how can I put this? Because technically he lost the fight, but he won the fight. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, he gave away the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then after the 6th round, when he finally decided to put his foot on the gas, it was undeniable who was the better boxer and the better fighter. But when you go to someone else's backyard and you have the judges on his side and you let him steal the first 5 rounds, then I cannot consider that a robbery when they don't give you the fight. Even though it's evident from the 6th round on that you're a dominant fighter, I still can't say it's a robbery because you let the man get off for 5 or 6 rounds. Then you decided to start boxing. You rearranged the man's face, but you in his backyard, you got to knock him out at this point. But at the end of the day, you still have to say it's debatable, it's controversial. It wasn't a robbery, but Manny Pacquiao, in most people's eyes, won that fight. So you can't even look at that loss as a complete loss where you say he's washed up and he doesn't have it anymore. Now we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see what he does with one time. Now one time has the youth on his side, and but one time is forever coming off of an injury, tune-up fight, injury, tune-up fight, injury, tune-up fight. So anything can happen. Like I said, I'm pulling for Manny Pacquiao to take this fight one last lion's roar, you know. But if he does win this fight, does that solidify his legacy? Does that put him at your pound for pound? I know a lot of people think or say or feel that Terrence Bud Crawford is pound for pound. Um, that's up for debate. You know, I feel like once you move into welterweight, he would have to knock off Sean Porter. He has to knock off Thurman. He has to knock off Garcia, and last but not least, he would have to knock off Errol Spence in order for me to consider him pound for pound. Same thing with Errol Spence. Errol Spence needs to uh, handle his business with Porter. He needs to make a fight with Garcia or with Pacquiao, or what he needs to do is make that fight with Terrence Bud Crawford and knock him off, and then I would consider him pound for pound. But right now, I feel like it's too early to consider Terrence Bud Crawford pound for pound. It's too early to consider Errol Spence pound for pound, and it's too early to consider Lomachenko pound for pound. When I look at pound for pound, I'm looking at Canelo, and since Pac-Man is still active, I'm looking at Pac-Man. And if I look at their resume, then you got to put Pac-Man at the top. But I understand if you want to put Canelo at your top pound for pound. Anyways, that's all I got for today. To all my insomniacs, to all my nocturnals, holla back, leave comments. Let's chop it up. Let me know what you think. Respectfully, I appreciate it. Respectfully, let me know what you think. Who would win between Pacquiao and Errol Spence, and how would it go down? Who would win between Pacquiao and Terrence Bud Crawford, and how would it go down? And which one would make the most money? Which one would be the bigger draw? Matter of fact, let me ask y'all this: which would be a bigger fight? Terrence Bud Crawford against Errol Spence, or Manny Pacquiao against Errol Spence? Which one would be a better fight or a bigger fight? Terrence Bud Crawford against Errol Spence, or Terrence Crawford against Manny Pacquiao? Which would be a bigger fight for you guys? And who would win? Hypothetically, right? So, Mr. Lewis TV, I agree with you. Manny Pacquiao is a better pound for pound than Canelo Alvarez, but I disagree when you say that Canelo Alvarez hasn't fought anybody. I think the man is at a point right now where if he's not better than Manny Pacquiao, he's on the verge. He's on the right path. He's young, strong, primed out, making great moves. He's making good fights. Um, he's fought bigger names than Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. Um, and he looks good in the ring. He doesn't come and underperform in the ring. He does what he needs to do. So, uh, you guys let me know what you think, and holla back. Before I salute this video one more time, click that subscribe button, like, comment, leave a thumbs up. It's your boy, Nocturnal Thoughts. Peace.